Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer Cross, and I am here with Dixie Andelin Forsyth for a feminine moment. And we are going to be talking about forgiveness because we realize that it is really an essential, an initial component of moving forward, kind of ridding yourself of any bitterness or hard feelings toward your spouse, and being able to move forward. Loving him the way he needs to be loved. So what can you tell us about forgiveness, Dixie?
Well, first of all, there's a few words in English. English is a limited language, like a lot of languages are, and I think it's good to define what you mean by forgiveness. Because some people think that to forgive someone means that you no longer remember it based on their religions. And I think that's true if somebody bumps into you, steps on your foot, some minor thing. But when major hurts occur, cheating, I mean, I knew a family when we lived in Canada, a really nice family, and their daughter was murdered by a guy who was out on parole, and he took her out. It was horrendous, and he bragged about it. He was laughing about it. He didn't know her. So this family, at her funeral, we went to it. It was devastating to them. They were comforting everybody else. And they had learned this art of forgiveness. It doesn't mean by forgiving this guy who wasn't even sorry. He wasn't even sorry, but what they knew was that, forgiving him doesn't mean that they're going to invite him to dinner. It doesn't mean they ever trust him. The reason we're supposed to forgive other people is partly for ourselves, because when we hold on to bitterness, the jerk who has hurt you isn't feeling it at all.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. This criminal, he was finally caught and he was put in prison. And then he was let out a few years ago, and so I wondered how they were dealing with that. But he didn't get life in prison like you think that he would. But the reason their family was able to move on from that is because they didn't expect that they would never remember it, if it's forgotten, they might invite him over. They didn't trust him. They don't want anything to do with him. But they're also not, my understanding of the most effective kind of forgiveness is you no longer seek for vengeance to get even. That part of it you can let go of and just let God deal with it, move on. You don't stew and get ulcers and
because that's what holds a lot of students back, or women just new in FW, from being able to truly see the changes because they're bitter.
Yeah, and remembering the past, but all of us like mercy. Every one of us likes mercy. We talk about justice a lot, but we don't always balance it with mercy, because we all want mercy when we've messed up and hope that people will forgive us. But and sometimes if you're married to somebody and the hurt is too great, like adultery, things like that, some women can get past it and some women can't. And I don't think they should feel like they have to be a good person, that they have to be able to move on from that. I don't think they should be blamed if they say, I just can't ever trust him. I just don't. And it's sort of like that's the consequence that he gets for what he did. Because some things, like if you are dating somebody and you sleep with them and you get pregnant, some things you do like that, you live with the rest of your life. You can't undo it. You could say, well, I can get an abortion, but you don't, then you live with the consequence of that. So whether you have the child or don't have the child, you live with some consequences your entire life because you just can't undo them. You can't undo divorces and things like that. So, but you move on. But I think the hardest thing for people that I know in my life is forgiving yourself. I've known people who can understand this concept of forgiveness, are very nice people, and they forgive everyone except themselves, and they just can't they can't let go of the mess ups that they've done in their life. And everybody messes up. It's like if you want to be good at playing the piano, how many mistakes do you have to make to be good? Thousands and thousands of mistakes. nobody can learn to play a musical instrument or a sport or, in my case, writing a book or anything new without making lots of mistakes. You can't learn to be a great artist without erasing sometimes and throwing stuff away that you don't like, that isn't any good.
Right.
But why we don't allow ourselves to learn in relationships is kind of sad, because we don't know. We're born as a little baby. We have to learn all these things, and you know what? It's okay.
What are some things for people to really get to that place of true forgiveness and sincerity when they want to just to start over with their spouse? What can they do? What are some,
like they're not wanting to leave them to end it, but they're
just what are, because it doesn't just happen because you want it to happen. Are there any exercises or?
Well, one of the things is realizing our own imperfections. Humility is one of the most underrated virtues.
It really is. Yeah.
Because, and that's another one we have to learn. We have to define it. What do you mean by humility?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? To me, humility is not weakness. It's not groveling. It's none of those things. Humility is a recognition of our ability, our lack of perfection, and our in relation to, say, God.
Mm-hmm.
And the humility is realizing our limitations and have more of a perspective, a real perspective on I'm just a person, I'm just a woman who lives here and is trying to do my best. And most people are trying to do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And so expecting him to not make mistakes when I know I do, it makes it easier.
Yeah, great point. Great point.
Humility, you know what, Jenny? Humility is actually kind of cool because it allows you, when you're a humble person, you are less likely to make some big whopper mistakes because you'll see it coming. Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed on documentaries and things, you'll see a famous person and they really got into trouble because they got real arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't see disaster coming because they kept thinking they were invulnerable.
Yeah.
And there was tons of warning signs. If they had been humble, they would have thought, wait a minute, this is happening. I better check myself and not do this. And so disaster happens because of pride and lack of humility. So
thank you.
Humility
so much.
is actually a great protection for each of us. It keeps us humility. Yeah. And so humility will also help you to forgive another person who's honestly probably just as imperfect as yourself.
Right. Yep. That's actually where you begin, in a way, to begin to heal whatever's going on in your relationship, in my opinion.
Is realize where you hope
you guys at the level playing field.
It sounds like we're kind of talking about a religion, but this is actually part of character.
It is.
And each of us, it's not a judgmental thing, because each of us has to work on this our whole life. This is not a you've arrived kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do all the time. I blow it and I just think, oh gosh, why did I do that? But you'll do better if you can forgive yourself. It'll help you forgive him if you can forgive yourself and recognize.
Great point.
When is the last time I messed up? I may not have done the thing that he did, but there's these little things over here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that today, Dixie. I appreciate your time. And everybody watching, please like, comment. We love your comments, and share to spread the message of Fascinating Womanhood and the pro-feminine movement. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you soon, Dixie. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jen. Bye.